everyone. Welcome to Spellcasting with the Blue Witch. If you don't know me, if it's your first time here, welcome to the event. My name is Trish. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Witchsea Marketplace. And I want to thank you all right off the bat for always supporting us, always supporting the Blue Witch. Just from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much for everything that you do for us. So tonight we are going to be talking about spellcasting. The Blue Witch is going to be giving away three live giveaways. So towards the end of the evening, I will pull a list of all of the attendees who are here live, and then we will announce the names right at the end. So I will pass it over to Liz, and she's going to tell you what we're giving away tonight. So enjoy the event, guys.
Okay, guys. So, with everything being messed up, first of all, I just wanted to let you know that the people that asked questions in the question section, I'll get to those for like the live Q&A portion. I know that sounds like crazy because I said I was going to be watching it, but it wouldn't let me do anything earlier. So, I just went and gathered questions from my DMs, different videos, subscribers, basically anything that had to do with spellcasting that I thought other people might want to hear the answer to. As far as the giveaways tonight, I'm going to do 2 tickets to the next webinar that I'm doing, which is Luna Magic. And I'm also going to be giving away one of my ritual spell song sets, like the full set. But if you have already purchased that, it's okay. Just let me know that you already purchased it. And then I'm going to, if you already have it, I'm going to send you 2 of the add-on songs that I am adding this weekend. So you kind of get like a sneak peek of those unreleased. So how long was it going on for? So this webinar is an hour and a half long in total, but if you have to like leave before it's over or whatever, the replay will be on Witchsea tomorrow, and you've already paid the $5, so your access to the replay is already secured. I know, I'm excited about Lunar Magic too. Okay, so if you follow me, everybody knows that we take just a second at the beginning of every webinar to just a nice deep breath, because if you have ever done a spell, followed all the steps, lit a candle, said the words, maybe even did all the little hand motions, and then nothing happened, you're not broken. You are not bad at magic. You were never taught how it actually works, and that's not your fault. It's left out of a lot of books. It doesn't really get spoken about, like just in general. So that's what we're here for tonight. Most beginners are taught aesthetics before mechanics. So you're shown the herbs, the crystals, the moon phases, the dramatic whispering, but nobody sits down and says like, "Hey, this is what a spell actually is under the hood," right? So let's start there. Spellcrafting is not copying rituals. It's not about having the prettiest altar. It's not about whether your candle is the exact right shade of burgundy harvested under a waxing crescent moon in October. Spellcrafting is intentional energy direction. That's it. You are identifying what you want. You're aligning your internal state. You are raising energy, and you are releasing it towards a specific outcome. So magic is applied intention plus directed energy. Like, really listen to that sentence again. Magic is applied intention plus directed energy. So if you understand that sentence, you already understand most of what we're doing tonight anyways. Maybe just not in so much detail, but you do understand it. Oh, thank you. I'm excited about those too. So let's talk about why spells don't work, because this is where people get really frustrated. Usually it's either because your intention was vague, you were emotionally spiraling while casting, your wording may have contradicted what you actually wanted, you raised energy but you never directed it properly, or this one stings a little bit, but you cast the spell and then immediately panicked and energetically chased the outcome for the next 3 days. And that undoes a lot of work. So, magic amplifies your dominant state. If it doesn't fix it. So, if you cast from desperation, you amplify desperation. If you cast from clarity, you amplify clarity. That's why alignment matters so much. There were some very strange noises coming from my child's bedroom. Um, that is why alignment matters so much. I know that some of you guys are thinking, like, okay, but I felt really emotional during spells and I still had things happen. And yes, that's because emotions raise energy as well. But chaotic emotion creates chaotic results. Clean energy creates clean results. So we're aiming for clean. You most definitely can be emotional and cast a spell as long as you're simultaneously keeping yourself grounded and giving the energy the direction that it needs. But realistically speaking, this is usually really difficult for beginners, especially like when you're first starting out and nobody's explained that to you yet. So let's talk about clarity. If I asked you right now, what do you want? And you said more money. I'm going to lovingly side eye you because more money how? From where? By when, in what way. Magic responds better to specifics instead of I want more money. Try something like I receive an additional $800 this month through aligned opportunities that feel stable and ethical. And that feels totally different. Um, it lands differently in your body. That's because your nervous system likes specifics. Your subconscious likes specifics. Energy likes specifics. When you're vague, you get vague results. And beginners are usually vague because nobody told them not to be. The universe, I've said this before, but like the universe is like a 5-year old. You have to be specific when you give directions. So now I want to talk about alignment because this is the step that almost everybody skips. You cannot cast a grounded, let's say, prosperity spell while internally screaming, I'm broke and everything is falling apart. Your energy is going to split. Before you cast, you need to regulate. I don't mean that you have to be perfectly calm and enlightened. I just mean that you need to be steady. There's a difference between desire and desperation. And desperation feels like you're just grabbing at things. Desire feels like you're choosing. So when you cast from grabbing, your energy is tangled. And when you cast from choosing, your energy moves cleanly. So before any spell, I just need you to take a second and just breathe. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Do that, let's 5 times. And then ask yourself, do I feel steady enough to direct energy? Because if the answer is no, you don't cast yet. You regulate first because magic amplifies. It does not stabilize you. So let's clear up the tool situation now. You don't need You do not need 12 different herbs. You do not need a drawer full of crystals. You do not need a moon phase for every single thing. Tools are focus anchors. They help your brain and your energy lock in, but they are not the power source. You are. Um, if you if I took away every single physical tool from you and I asked you to cast a spell mentally, if you can't do that yet, that's okay. That just means that we're building the foundation tonight. That's what we want to accomplish tonight. I want you to leave this webinar knowing how to build a spell from scratch, which we're going to get to. But I want you to be able to do it whether you have a full altar or you're sitting in your car on your lunch break whispering under your breath because you're agitated. Um and here's something that might shift how you think about this. A spell has structure. It's not random. It's not just vibes only. There is a sequence. You prepare, you clarify, you raise energy. I don't know if people are taking notes, so I'm just giving it a second. You program it, you direct it, and then you release it. Most beginners either skip the raise or skip the release. And those are big steps. You can't cast a spell if there's no energy to cast it with? Nobody told me for a really long time that raising energy isn't just feeling excited, it's intentionally building internal charge. Release isn't just blowing out the candle and walking away, it's energetically detaching from the outcome so that the energy can actually move. We're going to go deeper into both of those, but before we do, I just need you to understand something about wording too. Energy follows instruction. If your spell says remove negativity from my life, your focus in that spell is actually on negativity. It's not on the positive. So instead, we move towards what we actually want. Instead of saying, remove negativity from my life, we're going to say, I live in a calm, protective, supportive environment. That's direct, it's specific, it's in the present tense. Your subconscious processes the statement as reality. And one more thing before we move forward, after you cast a spell, you cannot immediately go into a doubt spiral mode, right? Like you can't plant a seed and then dig it up every 6 hours to check to see if it's growing. Once you send energy, you let it breathe. Trust it's part of the spell. And if that feels hard for you, also that's okay. It just means we're going to work on your release, because the release phase is where most people sabotage themselves. So now that we have, just a second, let me scroll down in the chat here. It's doing that thing where it doesn't keep up. I haven't been looking over either, so that's probably partly my fault. But once, okay, so let's talk about how to now that you understand how spellcraft actually, what it actually is, how spells fail. We just talked about alignment briefly, but we're going to hit that again, and clarity. And we need to talk about how to actually build energy on purpose, because without energy, intention is just a thought. And without intention, intention without energy is not spell work. So let's talk about how to actually raise it, because without energy, intention is just a thought, and intention without energy is not spell work. So here's where people get weirdly intimidated. They hear raise energy and they think that it means that they have to like chant in Latin, spin in circles, call in 9 different directions, even though they don't exist, feel lightning in their fingertips. Raising energy is simply building internal charge on purpose, and you already know how to do this. You've done this accidentally. Have you ever thought about something that made you mad, and within 30 seconds, your whole body feels hot? That's energy. If you have ever thought about somebody that you really like and felt a little spark in your chest, that's energy. If you've ever listened to a song that gave you chills, that's energy. So your body is an energy generator. Spell work is about learning how to turn the dial intentionally instead of randomly. There are 3 beginner-friendly ways to raise energy, and we're going to talk about breath, emotion, and physical movement. So let's start with breath, because that's one of the safest, most controlled. Breath is rhythm. Rhythm builds charge. If you breathe slow and steady, you regulate. If you breathe faster and sharper, you activate. So for a spell where you need power, like protection or breaking through stagnation, you might breathe faster and deeper and more forcefully. For something like attracting love or stability, you your breath might be slow and sensual and steady, like you're matching the breath pattern to the outcome that you want. And while you breathe, you're not thinking about your grocery list, right? You're going to turn all that stuff off. You're holding the intention in your mind like it's already happening. You're not begging, you're not hoping, you're just experiencing it. And that makes a difference, a big difference. So let's talk about emotion, because emotion can be fuel. But here's where beginners mess up. They think that they need to feel the emotion of wanting the thing, right? No, you need to feel the emotion of already having the thing. If you are casting for financial stability, you don't sit there feeling stressed about money. You sit there and generate the feeling of relief, of ease, of like, oh, I'm okay now. If you're casting for love, you don't focus on loneliness, you generate warmth and safety and being chosen. Uh-oh, are we freezing?
I'm not
I see
having
some.
any, yeah, I'm not having any issues here, so I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't
If
know.
it's just
I see two
individual,
different people that are having problems.
yeah, and some people aren't. So yeah, I think it might be just individual. It's okay. We'll just keep
Okay.
going.
Um yeah, so if you're casting for like love, you don't focus on loneliness. You're going to generate warmth and safety and being chosen. Your nervous system cannot fully tell the difference between imagined and real emotional states. When you do this properly, and magic works through that system, it works through your nervous system in that way. So now, physical movement. Movement builds charge really fast. This can be swaying, rocking, clapping, drumming on your legs, even dancing, walking in a circle. You're building rhythm. Rhythm builds momentum. And when you combine breath, emotion, and movement all together, energy rises really quickly. You're going to feel it. For some of you, it's going to feel like heat. For some, it might be tingling or pressure. For some, it's just like a sense of fullness and intensity. There's no one correct sensation. If you're trying to force fireworks, you're probably overthinking it. Um, Now, here's the part that nobody explains clearly is that raising energy is only half the job. You have to program that energy. Think of energy like water in a hose. If you just turn on the water and start waving the hose around wildly, it's messy. Programming is attaching instruction to the energy. This is where wording comes in. When you speak your spell out loud or internally, it really doesn't matter. You're coding the energy that you just raised. This is why sloppy wording creates sloppy results, and you do not need to rhyme. Rhyming can help focus, it can make it feel more ritualistic. But if that works for you and that's better for you, that's excellent. Use it. But it's not a requirement. So clear is going to beat trying to be clever every time. Instead of, for example, instead of by candle flame and moonlit sky, bring me wealth and let it fly. You can say, I receive consistent, stable income that supports my life comfortably. That's simple. It's direct. It's present tense. Yes, present tense matters. We speak as if it is already unfolding, that it's unfolding right now, not I will. Stay away from those words, or stay away from I hope. Do not say please. Those create distance between you and what you're trying to accomplish. Um, it reinforces that you don't already have it. So we don't want to do that. Let's talk about direction. You've raised energy, you've spoken your intention. Now what? Now you're going to send it. Some people visualize the energy moving outward like light. Some push their hands forward physically. Some imagine it shooting up. Some imagine it settling into the earth, like to take root. It doesn't really matter how you visualize it. What matters is that you intentionally release it away from the body. Because if you don't consciously release it, you stay tangled in it, and then you obsess, and then you worry, and then you check again. Release is not blowing out a candle. Release is the internal decision that this is done. You might literally say it is done, and then you can stop feeding it. That's the hardest part for beginners sometimes, I think, because we're so used to micromanaging outcomes, but magic needs space. You can't micromanage it. So let's address something really important real quick, ethics, because once you realize that you can direct energy, the next question becomes, should you? And here's my grounded answer to that. Spells that violate your own moral code backfire internally on you. Even if they work, If they cast something, if you cast something that deep down feels wrong to you, your subconscious will create resistance. And that resistance weakens results or it creates side effects. So when it comes to things like love spells on specific people, manipulation or coercion, you need to check yourself honestly. Is it aligned? Are you going to feel bad about the outcome when it comes to fruition? And I'm not talking about like, I'm not saying that like baneful magic is bad, okay? Or that something's going to come back to you times three. This is partly something that you have to figure out for yourself. Some believe the times three rule. That's mainly a Wiccan belief. I personally do not. I believe in justified magic. I believe in using magic to support you in your life and to nudge karma where it's already due. But if you're doing something for yourself, or even like if you're doing something for a friend, and you genuinely feel bad about it, you have that just something's just bothering you in your gut, you're questioning it, or you don't think maybe you think maybe I shouldn't do it, I don't know, then don't. Just don't even bother doing it because it's not going to work out how you want it to, and if it does, it's going to bother you later. And then it bothering you later is going to affect future work. It's going to snowball. Um a beginner rule that I think that everybody should kind of have in place is that if you feel heavy about it, don't cast it. Redirect the spell toward attraction of aligned connection instead of forcing a specific person or an outcome. Because you can always redirect it, right? People come to me and they're like, I, I just dealt with this in my inbox not too long ago. Um, I want to spell for such and such person. I want them to fall in love with me, or how do I get them to do that? And my response to that is always, you don't want them to fall in love with you because of a spell, right? You want that to be genuine. So instead of casting on someone else, twist it to where you're casting on yourself instead. Maybe you do a spell to make yourself more charming, or you do a spell to encompass the the traits or the characteristics that that person likes, make yourself more confident, to open lines of communication, things like that. That is connection, and it's aligned and it's ethical. So there are ways to do love without directly casting on somebody. You can still influence. um so let's just, I don't know, I just now timing. Let's simplify timing. Moon phase symbolism. Waxing moon supports growth, waning moon supports release, full moon amplifies, and the new moon, you kind of use that to plant seeds, right? So, yes, those can enhance a spell, but if you're waiting 3 weeks to cast something important because you think that you can only do it on the perfect moon phase, you're giving timing more power than your clarity. So, you need to cast when you're aligned, when you feel ready to do it. Don't let waiting 3 weeks is not going to make your spell any stronger. Um, if you wait the 3 weeks and you're not as aligned as you are today, it's not going to work as well, anyways. Use timing as enhancement, not dependency. Same with planetary days. It's supportive, but it's not mandatory. Let's talk about some conscious interference, because this one's really subtle and you kind of have to be paying attention. If you consciously want something, but subconsciously you believe that you don't deserve it, your energy is going to split there too. So, split energy creates inconsistent results. So, if you cast a prosperity spell, but you deeply believe that money is hard or scarce, your spell's going to have friction. This is why identity work matters. When you set intention, ask, who am I? Who am I when this is normal? So, like, whatever you're trying to call in, if that was your norm, whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you can't imagine yourself as that person, then that's your real work. You need to work on being able to make yourself deserving of that. A lot of people think subconsciously that they don't deserve it. right? Or they're never going to obtain it. It's just in the back of their mind that way. So we need, if that's you, you need to work on becoming that person where you can at least imagine yourself being that person. Spellcraft is not just external change, it's identity reinforcement. And this is where beginners actually become practitioners. When you stop asking, how do I make this happen? And you start asking, who do I need to be for this to be natural? That shift alone is going to change a lot of things for you. Now, I want to get really practical here. Let's walk through building a simple spell from scratch together. No fancy tools, no structure, or just structure, and you decide the outcome. Um, so what you're going to do first is clarify the specifics, just like we talked about. That's your starting point, and then you want to regulate. So you're going to take that second, breathe, bring yourself back into the present. Then you're going to raise energy however you decide to do that. You're going to do your breath work. You're going to move. You're going to dance. You're going to do whatever you need to raise that energy, because if you just use yourself as the energy source, you're going to drain yourself, and it's going to end up becoming a long process. You're going to get hit burnout. It's just going to be bad. You need to be able to raise that energy. So that's where I think also a lot of beginners kind of skip over that part, because that's not talked about. In order to cast a spell, in order to direct energy, you have to have the energy to direct in the first place. So you got to get that from somewhere. After you have raised your energy, then you're going to speak with the intention clearly in present tense, and then you direct the energy outward. You release it, you detach from it. That's it. That is spellcrafting. Everything else, herbs, the candles, the oils, the sigils, they're all enhancements. I'm gonna grab something to drink. I need my, if I'm not, it's not that I'm trying to ignore you this time either on the chat. It's just doing that thing where it doesn't show me everything. It's building up instead of like going with you guys. So I've just kind of stopped looking over. But that's it. That's spellcrafting. So if you're going to use tools, I just want you to understand exactly why you're using them instead of just copying someone else's recipe. So let's talk about them. Let's get into tools in a way. I'm a Mountain Dewaholic. Tools are psychological anchors, and they're also energetic amplifiers. That's it. A candle isn't magic because it's a candle. It's magic because fire transforms. Your brain understands transformation when it sees flame. So when you attach intention to fire, your subconscious locks into that symbolism. Herbs aren't magic because they're trendy. They're magic because they carry correspondences, meaning that we collectively associated certain plants with certain outcomes for generations. The reasons behind the correspondences vary across beliefs, because I've been asked that a lot, and honestly, it does vary a lot. But most of what we use today is tried, true, and just proven to work. Rose for love, cinnamon for speed and heat and money, bay leaf for manifestation and victory, salt for cleansing and protection. These are just common things that are known because they've been used, they've been tested. Yes, they are backup dancers. You're the main character. Um, so when you use a tool, you're stacking symbolism, and symbolism speaks directly to the subconscious. But here's the important part: if you don't know what the tool that you're using represents, then it's just decoration. So when you build a spell with tools, ask yourself, what does this represent energetically? If you can't answer that, then you probably shouldn't be using that tool. So let's build a very basic candle spell together, okay? So you can see how all this layers in. Let's say the intention is protection. Step one, clarity. Not just protection, but protection from what? Gossip, negative coworkers, spiritual interference, your own anxiety. Be specific. You have to be specific with it. Let's say I am energetically protected at work. I'm shielded from gossip, negativity, and hostility. That's good. Step two is going to be alignment. So now you're going to take that time and breathe, steady yourself. You don't cast while you're angry at Susan from accounting. You regulate first. Step three, choose your tool intentionally. For protection, maybe you're going to choose a white or black candle. White for general protection, black for absorption and boundary reinforcement. You don't choose a pink candle based on like just the symbolism, because that doesn't correspond. It doesn't add up. You could add salt around the candle as a boundary symbol, not because TikTok said so, but because salt represents purification and containment. See the difference? Like, you have to know why you're using it. Step four, raising energy. So you're going to light your candle, and then you're going to breathe steadily. You're going to imagine yourself walking into work calm, shielded, and unbothered. You feel what that feels like. Feel what it feels like to be in that moment. You generate the emotion of safety. You might even visualize like a barrier between or around your body, between your body and everybody else. You're building charge that way. Step five would be programming. So this is where you're going to speak clearly. I'm protected at work. Only respectful, supportive energy touches me. Negativity dissolves before it touches me. Present tense, direct. Move on to step six, direction. You visualize that protective barrier locking into place, and you push the energy outward intentionally. You decide this is set, and then you're going to release. You let the candle burn down safely if possible, or you extinguish it with intention and say it is done. And then you don't obsess tomorrow wondering if someone's going to gossip. You move as if you are protected. That that last part matters. Your behavior after the spell must align with the spell. If you cast protection but still enter work expecting to get attacked, you're just feeding the old pattern. Magic moves easier when your actions support it. So let's talk about spells without tools, because sometimes you won't have candles. You'll be in public, or sometimes you need a quick reinforcement. Mental spellcraft works the exact same way. Clarity, alignment, raise, program, direct, release. You can do that silently in under 2 minutes once you get a little bit of practice in. This is why I said earlier, if you can't cast without tools yet, you're still being like dependent on props. Like, we're building independence. That's not to say that you shouldn't ever use something if you want to, if you feel connected to it, if you just like it. But if you can't cast without it, then you have some work to do there. So I want to address love spells specifically again, because beginners always ask me, like, here's my answer. Okay. Casting the perfect aligned partner, for the perfect aligned partner to enter my life. That's clean. You can do that. Casting for this specific person, must text me and fall in love with me. That's going to get messy, because you're directing energy at someone else's free will. Even if you don't believe in spiritual backlash, psychologically, it creates that fixation. And fixation weakens you. So instead, you're going to redirect that desire into I attract a partner who's deeply aligned, emotionally available, and mutual. That keeps your energy centered on attraction instead of control. And attraction is very powerful. So I'm going to just kind of get into different categories here. Let's talk about manifestation. The speed of it. That's what I get asked most about manifestation. Everyone wants to know, how long does it take? And here's the honest answer. It depends on how aligned you are, how much resistance you carry, how big the shift is, whether you're detaching properly. Small shifts can happen fast. Identity level changes take longer, and sometimes what delays a spell isn't the universe, it's subconscious contradiction. If part of you fears the outcome, you're going to slow it down. Which brings me to post spell behavior. So after you cast, you do not obsessively check on it. You do not recast the same spell every day out of panic. You do not constantly ask for signs. That's not reinforcing. It's doubting your own work. Instead, you're going to move as if it's unfolding. You're going to cast for opportunity. If you cast for opportunity, you say yes to aligned invitations. If you cast for love, you're going to act like someone who expects to be chosen. If you cast for protection, you're going to stop scanning for danger. Your actions either reinforce what you've done or they contradict your spell. There's really, when it comes to that, it's pretty black and white. You're either doing what you need to do to support it or you're not. So let's talk about common beginner fears. Like, what if I do it wrong? You're not going to explode your life by mispronouncing something. Sloppy wording creates unclear results, but it doesn't like summon chaos demons. Okay. So, what if I accidentally manifest something bad? If your intention's clean and specific, you're fine. Fear based obsession causes more chaos than beginner mistakes. Um, what if nothing happens? Then we troubleshoot. Troubleshooting usually comes down to one of three things: either clarity wasn't specific, alignment wasn't steady, or release didn't happen, which is fixable. So now I want you to understand something that's really empowering is that spellcraft is not about forcing reality. It's about influencing probability through directed energy and aligned action. You are not and cannot override physics. You are shifting momentum, and momentum builds. Small success spells that you have done where you can see the results, those build confidence. Confidence is going to strengthen your alignment, and stronger alignment strengthens the results. This is a practice. It's not a one night miracle machine. Okay. If you're still sitting here, you're sitting right now in a place where people either quit or they level up. When a spell doesn't show immediate movement, beginners assume one of three things. It seems like they just go to, I'm not powerful enough yet, or I did it wrong, or magic isn't real. And usually none of those are true. What's usually happening is friction, and friction is information. So let's talk about how to troubleshoot instead of spiraling. The first question that you should be asking yourself is something, didn't work out the way that you thought it was going to, is was the intention actually clear? And I don't mean clear in your head. I mean clear in structure. Was it specific? Was it measurable? Was it grounded in reality? If you cast, I want my life to be better, your energy doesn't know where to go with that. Better how? Financially, emotionally, socially, physically. Energy needs a lane. And if there's no lane, it's going to disperse. The second question you should ask yourself when you're troubleshooting is, were you aligned when you casted? And you have to be honest with yourself here. Did you regulate first? Were you mid breakdown saying, I need to fix everything right now? Because if you cast from panic, you're just going to amplify more panic. And sometimes what happens next is nothing. It's just more chaos. Not because you failed, but because you amplified instability. And that's why I keep repeating alignment, because it's not aesthetic, it's structural. The third question that you can ask yourself is, did you actually release it, or did you keep reattaching to it every few hours? Releasing is a skill. And if you struggle with detachment in life, you're going to struggle with detachment in spell work. So here's something practical before you cast. Choose a physical cue that is going to signal completion for you, like blowing out the candle, or when you're done, going to wash your hands, closing the journal, stepping outside. This action might change on like a spell to spell basis. That's okay if you do something different every time based on what kind of spell you're working, or you can use the same signal every time. I personally would suggest using the same one because that's going to build power and build those connections in your mind over time. but it needs to be something that marks the nervous system shift, from working on it to it's done. Your body needs that closure. Okay, so let's talk about overcasting. Um, this is common. You can cast some people cast a prosperity spell on Monday, and then another one on Wednesday, and then a different one on Friday. And just in case, they're going to throw one in on Sunday. And that's not reinforcement. That's signal confusion. Imagine if you went to a fast food restaurant and you placed like three different food orders at a restaurant and then expected like one cohesive meal. It doesn't work that way. You have to pick the intention. So cast it cleanly, give it space. If after like a reasonable amount of time you feel nothing shifting, then that's when it's okay to like reassess and refine, but don't machine gun spells at the same topic. Let's talk about like energetic burnout, because yes, that's a real thing, and that can lead to energetic burnout. Um, if you're constantly raising intense emotions, you're constantly trying to shift things, you're constantly in ritual mode, you exhaust your nervous system. And when your nervous system is tired, your alignment gets sloppy. Spell work should feel focused, not frantic, and it should be quality over quantity. One clean, grounded spell is stronger than five chaotic ones. So, and I do want to say like there's a difference, because some things do work better in layers. Like I say protection works better in layers. I say money spells. I personally think money spells work better in layers. But when I say layers, I don't mean like spell after spell after spell, machine gun spells. But you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is like layer them up differently. You need to have those long-term spells and then work with short-term spells. So when I say like for me personally, my money spells, I have my money bowl, and that is an ongoing thing. I refresh it, I clean it, I feed it, I pay it attention, right? I light a candle by it. And then maybe once every couple weeks, I might do a separate candle money spell on the side just to reinforce. But I'm not going to do it on a regular timeline. I'm not going to do it days apart, because I already have that stable, long working bowl. The same way with protection, like the protection jar that we did, right? Those only need to be those only well, if you were here, those only need to be recharged once a month, if that. Um, but you can do separate like candle magic protections on the side whenever you feel like you need extra. So it's just you have to find ways to like work it together, but not do the exact same thing over and over and over, because you're just sending all these signals out there and the universe gets confused. Um, so let's talk about like let's move into identity integration. So before you cast, ask yourself, if this spell worked perfectly, how would you behave? After you cast, start behaving that way. Not delusionally, like don't ignore reality, but subtle alignment, right? If you cast for confidence and you can imagine what you would be like as a confident person, then you have to start making small confident choices that are going to get you there. If you cast for financial flow, treat money with respect instead of resentment. Um, if you cast for love, stop tolerating behavior that contradicts being chosen. Magic responds to consistency, to congruence. When your behavior matches your spell, momentum builds faster. So let's talk about signs, because everyone's like, you know, everyone wants a sign. Is it working? Show me a feather. Give me a specific number. Show me something. So you can ask, you definitely can ask for confirmation, but I wouldn't depend on it. Signs are encouragement, they're not proof of completion. Movement in the physical world is proof. So focus less on symbolic reassurance and more on the aligned action. Also, something important about fear. Beginners often fear backlash. If I if I do this wrong, will something bad happen? I say if your intention is clean and specific and not rooted in harm, then you're fine. Energy follows clarity. So sloppy structure creates weak results, not catastrophic ones. You're not summoning chaos because you forgot a word. Um, Brings us right back to consistency. Spellcraft works best when your daily life supports it. You don't need to cast every day, but you should maintain like energetic hygiene. So what does that mean? Checking in with your thoughts, notice your patterns, regulate when you spiral, because your baseline state influences your results more than your ritual does. Your ritual is concentrated energy. Your daily mindset is ongoing energy. If they contradict each other constantly, you're going to slow things down. So let's talk about building confidence. Start small, cast for manageable things, a smooth conversation, a productive day, a quick solution, and then watch things move. Experiment, build evidence, like cast those spells, track your results, and that confidence is going to eventually build, and that's going to reduce resistance. So, reduced resistance is going to strengthen your results in future spells. This is why like experienced practitioners seem to be lucky. They're not lucky, they're just aligned and confident. So let's circle back to something that's really foundational. Spellcraft is not about controlling the universe, it's about participating in it consciously. You're influencing probability through clarity, alignment, energy, action. You're not forcing anything, you're just influencing it. So when you understand that, you stop treating spells like emergency buttons and start treating them like strategic tools. And that's when you know like you've matured in your practice. So here's your framework one more time, simplified, right? Clarity, alignment, raise, program, direct, release, and then detach yourself. Align your behavior after. That is the structure. You can layer tools, you can layer moon phases, you can layer correspondences, but that structure stays the same. And if you master that, if you can master the structure, you don't need to copy anyone else's rituals ever again. You can build your own, clean, intentional, aligned, and that's when spellcraft stops feeling like guessing and really starts feeling like power. Um, Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, Tori. I'm so happy for you on that one. Um, wish there were handouts or worksheets, but I know you can get like a workbook. Um, I have a spellcrafting workbook, but they don't make it anymore. Um, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know like where to direct you to get one of those right now because I haven't. I You see so many shadow workbooks, you see so many journals, but you don't see spellcrafting workbooks, and I couldn't even tell you where I got that from. I got it years ago, years and years and years ago. But I've tried to look it up and I can't find it anywhere, so I don't think they make it anymore. Robin, I see your comments. I just haven't been looking over. Yeah, I just got a new shadow workbook actually, but it's not what I thought it was. I'm not very happy with it, to be honest. But okay, so I went through I went through my DMs, I went through my videos, I went through my like my subscribers questions and things like that, and I think that I'm just going to go ahead and get into these pre-submitted questions real quick because I came up with a lot of them. And I think that some of them are they're just those type of questions that I get constantly all the time. And so I think that they would really be helpful here and for you guys to kind of like hear and think about some of these. But the first one I grabbed was I've done a few spells before and nothing happened. How do I know if I'm just not gifted? Um and the gifted was in quotes. And I'm not going to call anyone out by name. So if you recognize your question and you want to claim that, that's fine. If not, just No pressure at all. I'm just going through. Um, so first of all, not getting results does not mean that you're not gifted. Spellcraft is a skill. It's not like a genetic lottery. Okay. Most of the time, when beginners don't see results, it's because the structure was incomplete, or usually unclear intention or lack of release. Magic responds to clarity and consistency more than raw talent. So, if you can focus your mind and regulate your nervous system and hold an intention steadily, then you can practice spellcraft. Results also build over time. Like we just talked about building your confidence and things like that. Your confidence strengthens your alignment. Think of it like learning to cook. Your first few attempts might be awkward. It might not taste that great. It's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that you're incapable of cooking. It just means that you're learning the mechanics of it. Um, are they talking about a money bowl class? I would love to do a money bowl class. You know what? I would absolutely love that because I just got a whole bunch of stuff for a money bowl,
Yeah,
and
I think we need to do that.
I've
Should
been
talk about
like
it.
putting my money bowl together because of everything that's been going on. But like I collected all this stuff for one, and then I got that other box too, and I need to do that.
Yeah,
We
we'll
should.
talk about it. Yeah.
Done deal, guys. We'll figure that one out. My husband's laughing at me. So the next question I had was, I did a love spell on someone that I've been talking to for months. At first, they started texting more and things felt intense, but then they pulled away and now it's awkward. Did I mess something up? Should I do another spell to fix this? So, this is like what likely happened isn't that you messed up. It's that the spell amplified existing dynamics. So if the connection already had inconsistency or emotional unavailability built into it, energy amplification can make that instability even more obvious instead of smoothing it out. Magic doesn't create compatibility. It's just not going to. It amplifies what's there. So when someone pulls away after intensity, that often signals that there was a misalignment rather than spell failure. So doing another spell from panic, that's exactly what I was talking about. Doing another spell from panic usually is just going to tighten the grip and increase attachment instead of trying to force the specific person back into alignment. I'd shift the working towards attracting mutual stable connection instead. That protects your energy and it removes fixation. And sometimes the spell it works by revealing what wasn't sustainable. Maybe your spell did work. Maybe it just showed you that hey, you might not really actually want this. So you have to kind of stop and just look at it from different angles. Um, I'm in for the money bowl. Me too. Because I need to get it done. I've been putting stuff off. So, how long should I wait before deciding the spell didn't work? So, that's going to depend on the scale of the spell. Small, low resistance spells, um, they can happen pretty quickly. The bigger life changing identity level, major decision, career changes, relationship changes, that might take weeks or longer because they involve more moving parts. So instead of watching the clock, look for subtle shifts in momentum. Is the conversation changing? Are opportunities appearing? Is your internal state shifting? If absolutely nothing moves after a reasonable amount of time, like a good period of time, then you might want to revisit clarity and alignment before recasting. Don't immediately assume failure though, because your spells need to breathe. Sometimes spells unfold indirectly long before they become obvious. Um, I'm reading over here in between the questions. A cleanse and protection spell, start to finish, so I can watch it. Were you in the protection webinar? You can go to witchsea.com under the Witchsea Academy tab and replay the protection spell jar webinar. And that one was free, so you won't have to pay to watch the replay on that one. And then, okay, yes, cleansing protection, please, please, please. That, yeah, I think those what free protection webinars that we did, that would answer all of your guys' questions right there. Um, can I cast multiple spells at once for different things? Yes, but not chaotically. My leg was itching. You can work on different areas of your life at the same time, but each spell should be clear and complete on its own. So avoid stacking like multiple spells on the same type of issue out of impatience. But you can cast, like if you cast for prosperity, don't redo it every 2 days because you're anxious. That's going to split your energy. Different intentions are fine, but scattered desperation is not okay. So keep working clean and intentional and just give them space to breathe, and you're fine to cast multiple spells. I cast a prosperity spell because I'm struggling financially. A week later, my hours got reduced at work. I feel like I made things worse. Is that even possible? So it's definitely understandable to feel that way, but let's evaluate. I mean, I don't really know what you did, but sometimes when you cast for like financial improvement, the first movement is like disruption, right? Like you've made that ripple. Um, if your current situation is not aligned with like long-term stability, energy might shift it before something better can enter. So a lot of times it's like we say a spell didn't work or something like that, but like sometimes things have to fall apart before they can rebuild. And I'm not saying that everything's going to rebuild for you and you're going to be okay. I don't know. I'm just saying that what's happened since then. You're going to have to like maybe send me another message or something. Let me know what um if your hours got reduced, but like did you get a job offer somewhere else that maybe you're like, well, I don't want to quit my job and then maybe I don't like this one, but like the opportunity is there. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just kind of rearranges life like that. Um, it doesn't mean that the spell necessarily caused you harm or that something you did caused harm to yourself. It may have like accelerated change, but your reaction matters right now. So if you spiral into fear, you're going to amplify the instability that you're experiencing in this moment. So this is the moment that you want to reinforce your clarity. I'm supposed to, or I'm supported, I'm stable, my finances are improving, then look for new opportunities actively. Look for things that are coming in. Spell work often opens doors, but you still have to walk through them. It won't do that for you. Disruption isn't always regression. Sometimes it's just a reorganization of life.
Liz, do you want to move to some of the questions in the,
Over here.
yeah,
Let me.
I'll flash them up. So
Oh,
she says, this is a dumb question, but I'm allergic to sage, lavender, black pepper, and cayenne pepper. I see them in so many of the spells. I can't burn incense because of migraines. Do you have any recommendations that I can switch out so they can do the spells without having to worry about allergies?
um, are you? That's a lot. That's a lot to be allergic to. For one, I'm sorry. um, okay, so pretty much if you're allergic to that, then oils, sprays, things like that are going to be out of the question too. I'm sorry, I'm working through it in my head. And then you can't do the incense because of migraines. Um, to be able to work with those. So here's probably like a unique take on this, but if that was me, knowing that those herbs and the correspondences for those herbs, we use the herbs to strengthen our mental pathways and our associations with things, because it's just known to work, right? Can you use pictures? Use pictures of them. Set up pictures around your candles, like print off or cut out little pictures or stickers. Even it might be kind of hard to find specifics, but I bet you could online. Everything is online. I bet you could probably find stickers. Um, look, you can also look up alternatives. I mean, that I figured you were going for a like a less obvious choice, but like you can look up alternatives. I mean, everything has usually multiple alternatives, but it seems like you have like a kind of an issue with a lot of things. So I would probably go with images. I would definitely go with images if I were you. I would use pictures.
Are essential oils used in spell casting?
Yes, essential oils is basically the same as using the herb. You can let the oils are infused with that herb. So if you can't use the herb directly, or you don't have it, or you want to say you want, something that's going to have a longer shelf life or stay potent for you, put the herbs in the oil, let them sit in a nice dark place for about 8 weeks, and it'll infuse naturally. You can also do it in a quicker process on the stove. Just be careful with that, because some oils will catch if you get them too hot. But like, yeah, essential oils, use those to dress your candles. It helps the herbs stick. A lot of people will use their oils and then roll their candle in the herbs because it helps the herbs stick. Um, if you have the oils, the herbs honestly aren't even necessary. So it can definitely replace those as well.
This one's very interesting. How do you find time and space when you live with someone that basically demands your attention all the time? Not children, my grown adult who insists on injecting himself into everything I'm doing is the biggest distraction.
So that's where you're going to focus. Again, like I said, those protection webinars, that's where you're going to focus on setting those boundaries. Um, and again, you can't just set the boundary and then feed the old habit, right? You have to make your boundaries known, not only to yourself, but to them as well. And the more that you feed into the old habits or the old patterns, the spell work's probably not going to do much for you. But you can take the same principles with just kind of cleansing your space, setting up a protection for yourself, um, and then set that boundary and stick to it, hold it. But once you set it, don't think about it anymore. Because a lot of times in situations like this, because I also dealt with something similar to this, and it might have even been you, or maybe I seen it, but um, when you're dealing with situations like this, you become like you're living in a constant state of anxiety. Um, you cannot relax. You cannot. It's just like as soon as you let your guard down, something else happens, or something's always going on. There's something always needs your attention. This person needs things from you, and you just don't allow yourself to relax, and that becomes a problem in your spell work, because you have to be able to set that spell and then move on as if you're okay. So I would probably take some time. Well, I know you said you can't really get that time to yourself. Um, you don't have to be by yourself to do the work. You're just gonna have to mentally block, block that out. Even if he's right there, you're gonna have to mentally block that out just long enough to ground yourself, to bring yourself back into the present moment, and to realize that, like, hey, I'm here. This is my life. I'm in control of it. Nobody controls. You're in full control of how you react to something. You can't control what's happening around you. Sorry, I'm still recovering. But you can definitely control how you react to it, how you feed it, the reactions and the give and take that you're going to give with it. You need to have that in your mind, exactly what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to compromise on, and then try to stick with that. Trish, I can't hear you.
It'll be helpful if I turn my mic back on.
Oh, I was like, oh no.
Could you use a stone to ground yourself?
hmm Jasper's very grounding. Um, Earthy type stones, usually just in general, stones that are like brown, red, yellows, those are all really good. I like even tiger's eye is grounding, or like petrified wood. Petrified wood, definitely. Um, The darker stones are going to be absorbing, but you can use them in combos. That's what I prefer to do. Like I'll take like a black stone, like obsidian or tourmaline or something, and pair it with an earthy stone, like a jasper or a tiger's eye or something like that, to like a moss agate even, to help absorb and disperse.
All right. If I gradually put aside a tool when I do spell work, will it change the outcome of the spell?
Let me reread this. If I gradually put aside a tool. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure what it means by gradually put aside.
Misty, does that mean that you no longer want to work with a certain tool, or we just need a little bit more clarification on that one?
No, no, it's totally okay. I'm just not understanding what you mean by gradually putting aside the tool, like over time, like why? I don't feel like I have enough information. Like why are you gradually putting it aside? And do you mean like over the period of multiple spells, or you're like throughout one spell?
Maybe she can give us some clarity around that, and then we'll go back to it. All right. Can you show a ground protection spell on a ring to bring luck and positive energy to yourself, to keep away bad energy?
Okay. So here's my response to that, and you might be mad at me, and I'm sorry. But yes, I can, but I need you to pick a path. Because you're talking about using like okay, so like I use this one, and my finger popped. I never take this off, it's stuck. Okay, so I have like my obsidian ring here, and I wear this for protection, but you're asking for like grounding and protection are two different things, and then you're also throwing in luck, positive energy, and banishment. So that's like you're asking one thing to do five different things, and that's not. You may get results out of that, but it's not going to be clean, and it's probably not going to be as good as it could be. So, but yes, pick a path first, and you try to keep it simple. One, two things tops. Okay, for something small like a piece of jewelry, and then you're going to cleanse the jewelry, cleanse yourself, ground yourself, bring yourself to the present moment. Maybe hold your ring. I like to touch my things, so put it between your hands. Send some energy into it, set your intentions, tell it exactly what you want it to do, be specific. If you want it to protect you, you need to tell it what you want it to protect you from. If you want it to help you ground, then maybe set a specific instruction or intention into it. Like, if I when I touch this ring, because if you're wearing it all the time, but like say like when I touch this ring, or when I think about grounding, this will help me ground. This helps me ground. Use the present tense. If you're going to do banishment, you need to be specific about what you're trying to banish, what negativity you're trying to keep away. If you want it to bring you luck, be specific about that. What kind of luck do you want? Are you looking for luck in money? Are you looking for luck in relationships? Are you looking for luck at work? Or are you looking, luck is very broad. So after you set your intentions in it, though, you could, if you have oils that you use, you could anoint it with some oil. If you have any other ritual type thing that you want to do with it, you could set it in front of a candle. You could let the candle burn, set your intention that way. And then you're going to go through the framework that we just talked about. So walk yourself through that, back through that, even just like a, just the one word kind of notes. Walk yourself through that. Make sure that after you said it, you give it that official it's done energy, put it back on, and then trust it to do its job. You have to be able to trust it to do its job.
And what if when you're doing your spell crafting, what if you can't see yourself in a positive light?
I would say that if you cannot see yourself in any positive way, maybe don't do spell crafting right now and focus more on internal work like shadow work and working through some of the reasons why you might feel that way about yourself, and just start acknowledging that and trying to rebuild yourself. Or if you are going to still do spell crafting, maybe do your shadow work, but when you cast spells for the time being, I would focus more on self-love spells, confidence spells, spells that are going to help boost your clarity and your confidence about yourself.
Do you have to speak your intentions out loud?
No, I don't think so. I don't. I I bounce back and forth. I'm pretty 50-50.
Me too.
I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Yep, I
I think
agree.
that when I think thoughts or I hear the voices in my head, I'm going to be posting a video about this too, because I just had this like whole conversation the other day with somebody about like, have you heard like the perceived and the perceiver theory, right? So the thoughts that are going through your head, because I believe that. This is my personal opinion. Okay, welcome to my world. I believe that the thoughts in your head are not your thoughts. They are the person that can hear those thoughts, the person that perceives those thoughts. You can't be the thinker and the perceiver at the same time. It doesn't work that way. So I view like the perceiver as your higher self. So I don't think that you need to speak anything out loud, because you're not even probably in this realm. Like that's not who you are. So they're going to hear you. If you're intending to speak to whoever you're intending to speak to, the universe, spirit guides, whoever you're intending to speak to, they're going to hear you.
Are your intentions more important than the words?
Yes. Yes. I mean, you can't, that one's tough, because you can't like ask for prosperity when you really want self-love. I mean, of course, but like if you're within the ballpark of alignment, you're fine. Like I said, you're not going to call in chaos or cause catastrophic events to happen in your life because you misspoke something. It doesn't work that way. It's been very over dramatized on social media, and it's like every little thing can just blow up your life, but it's really not like that. It's really not. If you're aligned, your intentions are good, your wording kind of at least lines up with that, you're gonna be okay.
I agree. Have you considered doing a class for people who are brand new to the craft? And I think that's what we're doing here, right? As we're kind of walking through.
Yeah, like that's what the webinars are. I try to keep them $5 or free. So I haven't we did the whole protection series, and that honestly covered, there was a reason that we did three. I mean, it was under the protection umbrella, but the first one really covered basics of like grounding and cleansing, and why you need to do that, why it's important. I like to give the whys behind things. So um I mean, I guess I could do like one webinar and just hit on all the beginner stuff, like, like a minute or two each. But the problem with that is, how much of that are you really going to soak in? I mean, like, talking about multiple, 10 to 15 topics in one webinar is, you don't usually learn that way. You learn through repetition. So I could do
Yeah.
that.
We're going to do a lot of
I'm
hands-on
sure
stuff coming up.
this is going to be like a
Mhm.
continuing, ongoing thing. These webinars aren't going to end. So,
Yeah.
and I'm open to webinar suggestions. Actually, it might just so if you subscribe to me, I have a Discord, and I even just had posted in my Discord like, hey, drop some webinar, suggestions and stuff because I like to do what you guys want me to do. So, I mean, if you're here, just so you know, future webinars from
And I put a
suggestions.
poll
Okay.
up. I put a poll up with some ideas in it. So if you want to take that poll and
Oh yeah, cool.
we can kind of sort that out. But
I
this
didn't
is a
even
really
I didn't
good,
even notice that. But
yeah,
I
I
know
did it
I
right.
had a lot of people ask me about deities.
That's on there.
Vacay was like number one, deities was number two. Dreams are gonna be coming up. I'm trying to think what else they suggested, but I was like, keep it coming, keep it coming.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get together and we'll talk
Definitely
about.
open to suggestions.
This is a really good question coming up here. So maybe just kind of like a backtrack into what we had talked about earlier. But how exactly do you do the release?
Okay, so what you're doing when you're spellcrafting is you're actually just you're disconnecting yourself from that energy. You don't want to stay attached to it because you want it to be able to leave you and go out to where it needs to be so that it's directed, it has its path and it can stay on that path and you're not subconsciously pulling it back, right? Um there's that way of releasing, and then there's like a release that I also like to do after spell work where you're basically just kind of dispersing any leftover energy that you raised and you didn't use and things like that. So what you can do as far as detaching yourself and releasing that spell out there is very simple. You can make it as simple or complicated as you want, but the simple version, you can just tell yourself, it's done. I release this. If you want to, you can close your eyes, you can take a couple of deep breaths, and then just let that energy that you have raised and put into your spell work, just let it go. Let it go into the universe. Don't think about it anymore. It's out there. It has a job to do. It's not coming back to you in that way. Okay, it's going to come back to you in other forms. So you're just going to let what you've put out there go. That's basically the breakdown of it. Now, if you want to release any energy that you haven't used, like energy that you've raised, because I think that sometimes when you raise a lot of energy and then maybe you don't use it all or it's still being raised even after you're done with the spell because you're emotional or whatever, then I think that that can kind of cause like adverse results sometimes. So I just like to imagine that I'm just kind of taking all the energy that I've raised around me and I like to just push it down into the ground and let it go out on its own. So, did that help? Oh, I can't hear you again.
Oh, how about casting on Friday the 13th? Did you pick the date on purpose? Oh, she's in a different country, so for her it's already Friday the 13th, but for us it's still the 12th of February, a Thursday.
I don't, I personally don't get superstitious like that. Um, I don't think 13 is not an inherently bad or an inherently good number. It's just a number. So, that is just me. I know that some people are, you know, I'm not saying superstitious as like I don't have another word for it, but I don't mean that as like a derogatory term either. I'm not like calling you superstitious or, crazy or whatever. But that number is just a number to me. Um, it doesn't really affect anything. It's the same with like, should you cast on, a dark moon or an eclipse? I don't personally care. If I feel aligned on an eclipse and I feel good and I feel like I could do very good spell work on that day and I'm taking in all the extra energy, I cast it.
All right, one more in the Q&A and then we can do the winners and
Okay.
then we can engage a little bit in chat if we have some time left. But this is a great question. Could you please clarify what is the difference between grounding and protection?
Grounding and protection. So when you're grounding you can do anytime, anywhere, all throughout the day. That's also one of those things that you can make as simple or complicated as you want, but it can be as simple as as becoming aware that you're touching something. Touch something solid. You can feel your feet on the floor, take a couple of deep breaths. You can feel the weight of yourself in a chair. You can essentially, grounding is just bringing yourself back to the present moment. Our minds, especially in these times, tend to travel. We're constantly thinking about what we need to do throughout the day. You know, the kids got to do homework. I got to make dinner. I need to run to the store. I got to do all this stuff. And it starts to feel so overwhelming. So if you just take that second to bring your mind back into your body, kind of shut everything out for a minute and just be in the present moment. Don't think about anything other than the present. That is grounding. Protection is setting up barriers for yourself to, I mean, it's intentional, so it depends on what you're setting it up for, but you can set up protection to keep negative influences out. You would have to be specific about it, but like, um, say you're having negative experiences at work, you could do that. You can also use protection to keep things in, to keep your energy to yourself, to not leak out, to not overshare, to not be drained, to not allow people to um, to take from you, to take from your energetic presence. So you can use that in multiple different ways for protection, but it is there as a barrier. It's a filter of what you decide to let into your space and what you decide to interact with and what you decide not to interact with.
All right, one more popped in. We'll take this last one. Circle casting. Do I need a whole salt circle or can it be an imaginary circle, etc.?
It can absolutely be an imaginary circle. That is like one of the original purposes of a magic wand, to cast your circle. And then
Well,
you can just imagine it. You can use your finger for that. You can use salt. You can use candles. You can use stones. You can use, I mean, anything to mark the barrier. But even if it's your finger and you're marking the barrier in your mind, that still counts.
perfect. Love it. Well, that's what we'll take for questions tonight. And so if I call your name and you win, then you have to be here. So just say I'm here or, yay or whatever. Just let me know you're here. So the winner of the free seat in the Lunar Magic is Jennifer Clementis. I hope I said that last name right. And then for the song sets, was it two seats to Lunar Magic
Two
or
seats to Lunar Magic.
okay? So the second seat to Lunar Magic is Sue Stoner. And then for the song set, it's Amanda Christmas. And Amanda, if you're here and you're winning this, and you have already purchased the song set, then you will receive the add-on. So I'm looking for Sue, Amanda, and Jennifer.
I remember Amanda because we recently talked in Ask Blue.
Oh, nice.
I heard because the last name. That's why it stood out. It stands out. You have a prominent last name.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Let's see. Are we seeing any of them yet? Jennifer, Amanda, Sue, are you still with us? Not, we're going to pick again. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Okay, so
there's Amanda.
all right, so Amanda.
Okay, so I'll be sending, since she already got the ritual set, I will be sending you two of the add ons, but I'll get with you. I still have your email, so I'll get with you in your email, or I'll shoot you an email tonight or tomorrow and let you know which songs are getting added this weekend because I think there's like 9 new ones, and then you can choose two from the list.
Awesome. And I see Jennifer Clementis. I hope I said that right.
There she
You
is.
will win. You won the free seat to Lunar Magic. And if you've already purchased a ticket, then another upcoming event that's paid, you'll get a free seat to that. If you haven't, if you've already purchased the Lunar Magic, if you haven't, you'll get a seat to that. And then Sue, yes, I see you there. You'll also get a seat to Lunar Magic. So I'll create the promo codes for both of you, and I will email you with those promo codes.
No crying. We talked about this before.
No crying in witchcraft. Well, that's not
No
true.
crying, because
I
then I
cry
have to
all
cry
the
with you.
time. I am so happy for the winners. And just as a reminder, tomorrow, Mother Hex is going to be, she is a kitchen witch and she's going to be showing you some natural tools to use, like natural beeswax and things like that. So if you can catch her free event, that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be a replay on that if you can't catch
Louise, I
her.
love you.
And then Tarot with Tam is on Sunday, and we are going to be diving into major arcana. So that's going to be cool, cool, cool. So thank you all again for coming tonight. We appreciate you staying up late or early with us. So, and I hope everyone took the poll. The Blue Witch and I are going to get together and we're going to talk about doing some of these hands-on workshops. I think they will be a lot of fun. So, up and coming. So, everyone have a great night and we will talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.